Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. And whichever platforms you're listening to this on, I want to let you know I really do appreciate you. And if you are a subscriber, thank you for being subscribed. And if you are not subscribed yet, please do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And you can hit the notification bell too if you are on YouTube. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place, and let's get into this podversation. Guys, I recently did a podversation where I was talking about the viral story about Brian McKnight and how he's pretty much disowned his previous children, which is really, really strange, and how he has embraced the adult children of his current wife, and they've had a couple of kids themselves. I think one of the children didn't make it that he had with his new wife, and he's just pretty much, it appears as if he is living this somewhat new life, and he's just pretty much scrubbed himself of his past and his past children, and almost in essence bleached himself, because you know, when you hear about people bleaching themselves, they are doing so to lighten themselves up. And I was listening to some commentary today that really made me scratch the side of my head, and it really made me wonder, because I'm not here to say that it's okay for anyone to disown their children or even not acknowledge their children. You may not be as close to some children as you are to others. And then you also see stories where people who have children with someone else while they're currently with someone, how they may not really be receptive to that child or those children and may not really take them in as much as they do their current children, because it's sort of a, well, you know what? They see that as, well, that was a mistake that I made. It's here. I'm going to do my part, but I'm not going to really be in that kid's life. It's not okay, but it's something that you see. But rarely do you see a man have children that they have had for many, many years, and they just pretty much disown the kids, scrub them out of their lives, and they're embracing the stepchildren and current children with their new wife. And in my previous conversation where I discussed Brian McKnight, I was really appalled by the situation, especially being someone that liked, I would say, a good bit of his music personally. And even one of his songs was the song that I use in my wedding. It just really stirred me, but it didn't really surprise me. Just because, not saying that I wasn't surprised by the situation, but I really get shocked by what these people, especially these celebrities, do anymore, because we don't know these people personally, and they could be Satan worshipers for all we know, and you may be like a loving child of God and you just didn't know, because all you know is the art or the things that they put out, and you don't know what they do in their homes. You don't know their lifestyle. So just because you may like songs that they have sung or written, or maybe you like the movie that they were in, or TV shows that they have been in or developed or whatever, that's their job. That's not their life. So I don't get wrapped up in that stuff anymore. I was never a fan of R. Kelly's. I may have liked some of his music, but I was definitely not a fan of his. But there were so many people that were just like so appalled by it. And I'm like, well, there were so many clues there, but I'm not even going to go down that lane right now. I'm just speaking in terms of not getting so shocked and surprised by these people and the way that they live their lives, because you don't know them. You could be disappointed, absolutely, and I am disappointed. But I spoke about this in my previous conversation because I'm like, you know, there's so many people that hate Donald Trump. They can't stand his ways, but you cannot say when it comes to his family, right or wrong, that he has not stood by his kids. Some of the kids may have distanced themselves from him in a way, but they still are his children, even though they are adults, and some of them are married and are living their own lives. But he has not disowned his previous children, and now he's a part of this new marriage, had a child with the new wife, which, I mean, they're not new. She's not new, but you know what I mean. And said, you know what? you kids are the past. I'm done with you. I'm moving on. He hasn't even done that. So it's crazy. Nothing Brian McKnight could say could justify his actions. And it was actually reported that his daughter that he has disowned, that her name is actually Bree McKnight. How ironic, B-R-I, and his name is Brian McKnight. She doesn't have a relationship with him, but he has pretty much disowned her. But she sued him for defamation because of some claims that he made about her that she said were absolutely false. And he just settled that case out of court because he had at first requested a motion to dismiss the case. And the court said, no, we're not dismissing it. So it's definitely wrong what he did, but it was also revealed that in this court case, he wanted to get a list of everyone that she has had relations with, because he was accusing her of doing something with a family member, with a relative, with a cousin, with her first cousin, by all means. And he did it on a video on social media. Like, who does stuff like that? Even if you're estranged, are you trying to say that's the reason that you estranged yourself from your daughter? She said it didn't happen. But let's say that you had that to be a rumor. Why wouldn't you reach out to your daughter versus blasting her on social media to put that out there about her? So she sued him. And she won because he settled. But she did win because he wanted the case to be dismissed and they would not dismiss it. Just clown behavior. But the commentary that I was listening to recently, Funky Dineva, he was saying some things that, to be honest with you, it gave me pause and it made me scratch the side of my head because, and listen, this commentary is not to come against anyone in the LGBTQ community at all. But they do say that a lot of times those who are in the community, they can pick up others who are trying to either avoid saying that they are a part of the community and they're living in the closet or under the covers or whatever. And a lot of times when people are out in that way, they don't respect those that are covering up or on the DL, shall we say. So I'm going to play this clip because when I listened to this commentary again, it just made me second guess some things about Brian McKnight, because I'll be honest, I never, even though I like some of his music, I never sat and thought about Brian McKnight in any way, shape, or form. I didn't know anything about his personal life, didn't know if he ever got married or even had any kids. I never followed him in that way. So I didn't know anything about his personal life. All I knew was some of his songs, that some I know by heart, and I still like the songs. I mean, I do. But I don't like his character, I don't like his ways, and I don't like what he has done to his family. So when I listened to this, and I'm just going to play a small portion of it, I said, you know what? Funky Dineva, he might be on to something. So let me play this clip and I'm going to get back into my conversation. Oh, and by the way, before I play this clip, on the thumbnail of the video, which I'm going to put a link to in the description of my commentary, it says deadbeat sissy. So even Funky Dineva is calling him this. So again, I'm just saying it made me think based on some things that he said. And so let's get into it.
That's a girl. The people is mad with Brian McKnight, honey. They want to know how could he, okay? And I want to know how could he too, because I thought the bitch was a sissy. Want to talk about it? Here you go. Gym, and I can't believe y'all got me on the line calling y'all about this R&B crooning sissy. Child, I thought he was one of the children. Not that he had 4 children, honey. But the people say Brian Sissy McKnight allegedly, honey, is estranged from his children. He estranged from them damn children because he ain't never want them. He is one of the children. That's what y'all don't understand. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all may not want to believe me, but more times than not, when these black men go out there and get these white women, it's because they be sissies. And them white women ain't gonna ask the same questions or demand the level of masculinity and sometimes toxic masculinity that the black women's require. All right? God rest his soul. I mean, not God. Oh, Lord, I don't put the man in the grave already, but child, the people say that's why Jamie Foxx ran his ass over there to Katie Holmes, and it ain't got nothing to do with him being in the hospital. I'm just telling y'all what the people said, okay? But this ain't about Jamie Foxx. We're gonna send up a prayer for him. But
all right, I'm gonna stop it right there. So you heard what he said, and listen, I'm not saying that what Funky Dineva said is gospel. He's sharing his views and opinions on his platform, and I'm sharing mine. And I'm just saying, based on just me listening to the commentary, it made me think about some things. Because listen, and I may be aging myself, but whatever. I was a little girl when I was listening to like Freddie Jackson, Luther Vandross. Now we know what we already thought about Luther Vandross when he was alive, and then Patti LaBelle, she revealed it, I think maybe a couple of years ago, where she came out and shared his news that since he's passed many, many years ago, that he was in the closet and he couldn't come out because it would damage his career. So this was something that she revealed, which, nobody was really shocked by that. It was almost like just confirmation for people. But again, beautiful music, beautiful love story music. And it just was like, yeah, you know what? And then, like I stated, Freddie Jackson. Again, someone else that when I was a little girl, used to listen to the music on the radio and see the videos on Video Soul or wherever, the videos were coming on. And he was like, I still like his music. To this day, I haven't listened to it in a very long time. But again, that love music that people really loved, a lot of women was really into. But I don't think Freddie Jackson has ever come out and confirmed. But I believe that, like Funky Dineva called Brian McKnight, I believe Freddie Jackson allegedly is one of the children. And so when he was speaking about Brian McKnight being what he called, listen, I'm putting a link so you can go and check the video for yourself. I'm not calling him a sissy, but that's what Funky Dineva said. And it just made me start to think, because like I told you guys previously, I liked a lot of Brian McKnight's music. And he can hit them high notes. And they say sometimes, especially when it comes to like these guys that just sing so beautifully and they really hit those high notes, like Mariah Carey high notes. Like, you listen to Brian McKnight, he hit those high notes. It made me start to think, because I never really thought about him in that way. He wasn't like, for me, attractive. I just like the music. And same goes for Freddie Jackson and Luther Vandross. First of all, I was a little girl when I was listening to their music, so I wasn't even like I would have been into them. But even as an adult now, I wouldn't look at those people and say that they are attractive. I just like the music. And Brian McKnight is not an ugly dude. Now he looks ugly to me based on what I know about him and what he's done to his family, his children more so. But I wasn't looking at him in that way. I just liked the music. So when Funky Dineva was saying these things about Brian McKnight and calling him a deadbeat sissy, I said, wait a minute, hold up. Is he? And then you heard what he said about his thoughts, his views, and his opinions on some black men that literally leave their families to go to be with someone of another ethnicity. A lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times they do this because it allows them to live an alternative lifestyle that they may not have been given the privilege to do, staying with their Black spouse, African-American spouse, whatever you want to, give that label. And so it gives them the freedom to do that. So I just started to question, because it's a very queenish thing to do. Very queenish thing to do, to have a junior. You already have a son that is your junior. You can't have more than one junior. I know George Foreman has named a lot of his sons George, but they're not all George Foreman Jr. It's not more than one junior. I think that was crazy too, but that, I don't know. I don't even have an explanation for that. But they're not all George Foreman Jr. and then George Foreman Jr., George Foreman Jr. Like, everybody is not George Foreman Jr. They probably all have different middle names. I'm assuming that. I don't know. You guys can Google it or Wikipedia it and let me know in the comment section, because I really don't even care to go and look that up. I'm just saying, Brian McKnight already has a junior son, and then he got married to this other woman, had a baby, named the child Brian McKnight Jr. That is a very queen thing to do. Like, who does stuff like that? And then for the current wife, I'm just assuming that she did not know this, because if she knew this and she still allowed the child to be named Brian McKnight Jr., then she's a problem as well. So now I'm wondering, should the first Brian McKnight Jr. change his name? I probably would. I don't know. I'm just saying, because that is a very queen thing to do. And when Funky Dineva gave his commentary and thoughts on Brian McKnight doing what he did, it just really gave me pause to make me consider some things. And I started thinking back to some of the songs, guys. I started thinking back to him hitting that high note. I remember an episode of In Living Color. Not In Living Color, oh my God. Living Single, not In Living Color. I don't know. Why is it In Living Color? Maybe I was thinking about Jamie Foxx. Thoughts and prayers for him, because he's still in the hospital. And that's one of my favorite shows from back in the day. But Living Single, there was an episode where the ladies and Kyle and Overton, they went to a Brian McKnight concert. And Max and Kyle, they were fighting with each other. And Brian McKnight was performing. And so when the concert was beginning, he came up to where they were, which they were further up in the stands. And he was behind them. And he just started out with this. I'm not even going to try to imitate it. I'm not going to hurt your ears with that, guys. But he started off with this high note. And they all turned around and looked to saw that he was singing behind them. But he hit that high note. There was no crackling of the voice. Like, he hit that high note with ease, okay? And then when he was, I guess, down on the stage performing, they didn't show him. They didn't put the camera on him. But Max and Kyle were fighting and fussing with each other. And then Brian McKnight, he says into the microphone, I don't feel any love coming from the couple up there in the cheap seats. A very queen thing to do, right? So it just, again, and maybe that was in the script for him to say that still, but yet and still, he said it with ease. He hit that high note with ease. And just listening to the commentary that Funky Dineva gave about Brian McKnight and how some men, when they do things like this, what in essence that really means, it's now making me wonder, maybe he's not just a complete ass, but maybe it's something deeper. And I do believe that it has to be something deeper, because that's just not a regular thing to do. Unfortunately, it is a common thing. It isn't a good thing, but it is a common thing for men to not be in children's lives and just pay child support, or even not pay child support. For someone like him who wanted to wear this badge of honor to say that I never skipped a child support check, that was nothing for you. You have the money child support is just a percentage of what you earn. It's not them garnishing everything that you have and you're having to live the life of a pauper. It just doesn't work that way. So who cares if you paid your child support? That was easy for you. It was an easy thing for you to have that done. You know, I know Tyrese wants to be out here on this prayer march and having people come against the judge and filing an appeal, and this is not good that I have to pay this much money and it's not fair. She doesn't need that much money or whatever, but it's a percentage of what he makes. It's not all of his money, and he's doing it out of spite. And this was someone, again, that he was married to. Even if she chose to leave, he was married to this woman. If he really loved her and the child, he would not be going to these depths to try to fight that so much. So again, a very queen thing to do. So it really just gave me pause to just consider some things when it comes to Brian McKnight. He wasn't anyone that I was checking for before. I just have liked some of his music. But now it really is making me question and consider some things, and maybe he and the current wife have some sort of arrangement where he's able to live that lifestyle and be with her too. I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm just saying, it just makes you question. So I'm not saying that those things are actually true. I'm just saying that it makes you question, is there something deeper going on with this situation? Because this is just not normal. So guys, you can listen to the commentary by Funky Dineva. I have a link in the description box to his video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I just wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.